Hey everybody, my name is Spaz and I'm a CD junkie. On this episode of CD Junkie, I will be discussing the great songwriter Gilbert O'Sullivan. No, I said Gilbert O'Sullivan, not Gilbert and Sullivan. Okay, that's better. Okay, now Gilbert O'Sullivan has been around since the late 60s, and obviously in America he's known for a couple songs. He's known for Alone Again, Naturally. He's known for Claire, Get Down. But let's be honest, a lot of people don't know the rest of his catalog, and the man is remarkably consistent. He has released albums every couple years for nearly 50 years, and he's still at the top of his game, which is amazing. Now, Gilbert is known for a particular sound, but he's also put out some albums that are drastically different from what people expected, but they're still filled with great songs. And the way that I look at it is, same singer, different jacket. I mean, he's still Gilbert to the core. Great, insightful, clever lyrics and great melodies. And I'm going to go through his catalog, but I'm going to try to go through them quickly because there's a lot to go through. And I'll give you some highlights and definitely pay attention. Everyone praises someone like Harry Nilsson so much, deservedly so. But Gilbert O'Sullivan was kind of the Paul McCartney to Harry Nilsson's John Lennon. And Gilbert O'Sullivan has put out records that are just truly amazing. So let's start here. We're going to start with the album himself. This came out in 1971. Oddly enough, Chris Spedding plays guitar on at least one track, probably a couple. But this is the album that featured Matrimony, Nothing Rhymed. So many great songs. This reissue that came out on the Salvo Records label through Union Square Music has loads of bonus tracks, including some non-album singles and a couple early demos from 67. We Will is another great song. But that's Gilbert O'Sullivan himself from 1971. 1972 gave us the Back to Front album. This is the album that has Claire, Who Was It, and Andy Williams did a great version of Who Was It. I don't know if anybody cares about that, but I do because I'm an Andy Williams fan. Also, Out of the Question is another favorite. And this actually, as a bonus track, has Alone Again Naturally. I think in America they added that to the album. But Gilbert O'Sullivan, Back to Front, was 1972, another stellar album, Salvo Records bonus tracks. 1973 gave us I'm a Writer, Not a Fighter. This has, they've only themselves to blame. Who Knows, Perhaps, Maybe. Ooh Baby. Just a lot of great songs. This does have bonus tracks, and it also has Get Down, which if you really listen to it, he's not singing to a woman, he's singing to a dog. Get down! 1974 gave us A Stranger in My Backyard. This has No More, It's So Easy to Be Sad, oh my gosh, Nothing to Do About Much, and of course, since this is a Salvo release, it has plenty of bonus tracks. Definitely check that out. Now, it took another 3 years for Gilbert to come back with Southpaw in 1977. Chris Spedding is also on this, by the way. A lot of great songs. You Got Me Going, That's Where I Belong, My Love and I, Miss My Love Today. Lots of great songs on this record. More bonus material as well, like To Each His Own, which is a non-album single, and Doing What I Know, non-album single, but definitely deserves your attention. Another 3 years pass and out comes Off Center. This album actually has Steve Hawley, who was played with Paul McCartney and Wings, on it. Dave Maddox is on it. Chris Rea plays accordion on the first track, I Love It But this also has What's in a Kiss, For What It's Worth is one of my favorites, The Niceness of It All, and lots of great tracks on this album. Check that out. Off Center, 1980. 1982 combines the talent of Gilbert O'Sullivan with 10cc's Graham Gouldman, who produced the album, and gosh, he plays guitars, bass, provides backing vocals. Another great album. Also on the album, 10cc members Paul Burgess, Vic Emerson, Duncan McKay. Those guys were in like later versions of 10cc. But this is another great record. Live Now, Pay Later, You Don't Own Me is a great song. Is It a Crime? And also, more bonus tracks. Definitely check out that on Salvo. 1987 brought a German-only album called Frobisher Drive. I think that's how you pronounce it. But it was later reworked, rejigged, and it came out as Songs in the Key of G in 1989. Similar cover. Another fine album from Mr. O'Sullivan. Lost a Friend is a song about John Lennon. At the very mention of your name is a great song. Stick in the Mud. And there's a B-side on here called In a Nutshell. I cannot believe it didn't make this album, but thankful that it ended up as a B-side so I can have it on CD. Now here's where things get a little kind of confusing. In Japan, there was an album called The Little Album, and that was, I think, 1992. But then in 1993 comes the album Sounds of the Loop, which seems to be the same cover as The Little Album, but it's a different album. And Sounds of the Loop, he was using like modern rhythms at the time, modern for 1993, modern rhythms like Are You Happy? Not That It Bothers Me sometimes. Can't Think Straight as a duet with Peggy Lee, and the bonus tracks have duets in other languages there. Another fine album from Mr. Raymond O'Sullivan. Then in 1994 comes the album By Larry, which the same contents as the Little Album from 92, but a different cover. So you're looking at Sounds of the Loop and By Larry, kind of get mixed up sometimes. But this is yet another fine album. That is a great song. Mr. and Mrs. Regards, My Front Door. Another fine album. Just every album is consistent. Great melodies, great lyrics. He mixes things up musically. It's just fantastic. Now, this is a really fascinating album here. Every song has its play. It's a semi-autobiographical musical. I'm not sure if this was actually a real play or not, but man, Gilbert fans, of course, are going to love it. Broadway fans would love it. I mean, there's some great songs on here. It sounds like it could literally be a soundtrack to a musical. This has one of my favorite Gilbert songs ever, a song called Dear Dream. And There's Nothing to Fear, which, my gosh, if you're into any of the classic Broadway musicals, you're definitely going to want to check this album out because it's really fun. Gilbert sings most of the songs, and there's a choir, and there's strings and bands, just like what you'd expect from a musical. But it's basically a Gilbert O'Sullivan album, and it's a fantastic one. Then remember when I said same singer, different jacket? Singer Sewing Machine. It's really influenced by like 90s dance, some Britpop in there, some electronica. So it doesn't have your standard piano, bass, drums, and other things going on. It sounds very, very different. But the songs are still great. His voice is still great. And you should definitely check it out. Heavens Above, Sex Appeal, You Better Believe It, I'll Be the Lonely One, Doesn't It Make You Sick? Mortar and Brick is a great song. I Don't Care. This is just another, you know what I'm going to say. Great. 2001 gave us Irish. For 2001, it's very contemporary sounding with electronica and dance elements to it. But like I said, same singer, different jacket. Anyway, this does have some bonus tracks. Just another stellar, great album. I'm not a Gilbert sycophant. If I don't like something, I'm not going to like it. It's as easy as that. He has not put out an unlikable album. Next up came Piano Foreplay. This was 2003. It's got kind of a jazz feel to it. After his forays on the last few albums, he's coming back to that classic Gilbert sound, but he's adding a little more jazz element to it. It Never Rains But It Pours, Make My Day, God Forbid, great songs. Answer on a Postcard, Please, another great one. That is Piano Foreplay, 2003. 2007 comes Scruff It Heart. This is very unique. It's basically Gilbert at a piano and sounds like a string quartet. And it sounds like it might be recorded live in the studio, no audience. On one hand, it's very rough. On the other hand, it's very beautiful and a phenomenal set of songs. And, there's the occasional horn on it. If you want to hear Gilbert in his element, what it would probably sound like if he was just sitting around and his string quartet friends came over, and then they started playing, that's this. It's very, very warm, very down-to-earth recording. 2011 gave us Gilbertville. This was recorded, I believe, in Nashville. And I think his intention was to make a country influenced album, and it's very much that, but it's not country. It's Gilbert country. It's great Gilbert O'Sullivan songs. It's not him singing with the twang and a cowboy hat. It's just a great collection of songs working with different musicians. And this has an amazing song called All They Wanted to Say, which was his tribute to the victims of 9/11. And it's just, it's heartbreaking. But Gilbertville, 2011. Well, now that he had done his country album and he was sticking to the same singer, different jacket, what is he going to do next? He's going to go Latin a la G. 2015, this is great collection of Gilbert O'Sullivan songs with just sort of Latin rhythms in the background. It's not overwhelming. It's not like he's doing an album of Celia Cruz cover versions. He's not Ruben Blades. And but yeah, that is a great collection of songs. Made in Love is great. I Guess I'll Always Love You, No Way. Love I You. Great album. And that leads us up to his 2018 album, which is self-titled. And this was produced by Ethan Johns, and it's kind of back to the classic Gilbert sound of his early 70s records, just very basic. But there are modern elements. It doesn't sound like it was recorded in the 70s. I mean, it sounds like a contemporary album, but just stripped down to Gilbert basics. Great collection of songs here. At the End of the Day is great. The Same the Whole World Over. Where Did You Go To? Sunset Dreams and 45s. Stellar collection. Gilbert O'Sullivan. And guess what? That is it. Oh, no. There's one more. You know, sometimes when you sit there and you go, I don't know, Spaz. All I want is a great collection to start out with. There's a lot of great collections out. This is my recommendation called The Very Best Of. Singer and his songs. It's Salvo, the same company that reissued the catalog. And this pretty much covers most of his career. I think maybe it stops at Gilbertville or right before Gilbertville. But it's a great introduction. But me, I'm not really into just having a greatest hits. If I love an artist, this is what I consider the greatest hits. The entire catalog. Except for Forever Sure Drive, which I eventually have to get because I think there might be one or two songs on there that I don't have. Anyway, that's it. I hope that this inspires you to go out and investigate the music of Gilbert O'Sullivan. Remember, streaming is the work of the devil. What you need to do is you need to purchase a physical product or maybe even digital downloads because God is watching you and God doesn't like streaming. So that's it. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you hanging out and listening to me babble about Gilbert O'Sullivan. My name is Spaz, and I'm a CD junkie.